Okay, it's 6:02 p.m. right now, and I'd like to call the public meeting to order. First of all, I would like to acknowledge that we are privileged to meet on the unceded ancestral territories of the Squamish and St'át'imc nations. The first business of this meeting is the approval of the agenda. Is anyone prepared to make a motion?
I'm happy to do that the agenda of this meeting be approved.
Seconded? Seconded by Lisa, thank you. Any opposed? Okay, that's carried. Excuse me. Next, we have a set of minutes for approval.
That the minutes of the board meeting held on November 8th, 2023 be adopted.
Seconded. Thank you, Melissa. Any opposed? Great, that's carried. Thank you. Okay, so this evening we have 4 elections that we will be. There's one more through. Oh, did I miss a recommendation?
That the summary minutes of the in-camera board meeting held on November 8th, 2023 be adopted.
Second. Thank you, Rachel. Any opposed? Okay, that's carried. Thank you. All right. So next agenda item is selection of board chair and vice chair. And as I mentioned, we have 4 elections that are going to be occurring tonight. The first election will be for the board chair. And the second will be for vice chair. Third will be BCSDA Provincial Council representative. And the fourth one will be the BCSDA Provincial Council alternate. So I'm going to start off with the board chair election. And I'm just going to quickly go over the process for everybody. So I'm going to be obtaining nominations for the position via Zoom poll. So I need to make sure everybody is logged in already into Zoom, and I think everybody is. If there does become some technical difficulties, then we're going to move to ballots. Okay, so I am going to make a call for nominations, and then there'll be a list of all 7 trustees on the screen, and you are going to select the trustee that you would like to nominate, and I will call for nominations 3 times. And please note your responses are anonymous, and as part of the internal controls, the scrutineers will be made co-host and host, and they'll be unable to vote. So for tonight, the scrutineers are Paul Lorette and Chris Nicholson. And once the nominations are complete, I will read the nominees' names out and ask if they would like to accept their nomination. If only one person accepts, then there will be an acclamation. If more than one person accepts, then there'll be an election. Okay, so once the poll ends, I will share the results. And does anyone have any questions before we launch into the polls? Okay, we get started then.
Danielle.
Yes, hi Rebecca.
Hi. I just wanted to say that apologize for not being there in person. I literally just got back from a funeral in Lillooet and I'm in my car. And then I have another one to attend to within the hour. So and I will not be joining you for the entire meeting. And just wanted to send my regrets.
Thanks for letting us know, Rebecca. I think once the elections are done, we'll be handing it over to the vice chair to take over the rest of the meeting. So thank you for letting us know about that.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Any questions? Okay. All right. So we'll get started and I will launch the poll. Just want to make sure, can everyone see? Let me know if anyone has any issues seeing, please let me know. So I'm making the first call for nominations. Who would you like to nominate for position of board chair.
My poll results say 6 out of 6.
Oh, really? Mine's a
Answered?
0.
Okay.
Okay. So. Mine's not working for some reason, but I'm glad you can see it.
I see it as well.
Yeah, it says
Okay.
6 out of 6.
6 out of 6. Okay,
There, shouldn't there be 7?
There should be 7.
there should
Yeah.
be 7. Okay, so I'll make a second call for nominations. Let me know when I hit 7. That's you
And
guys.
unfortunately, it doesn't show
Yeah.
on my screen who hasn't
Mm-hmm.
voted, but
It doesn't.
someone can abstain if they
Yeah, that's
feel
right.
like, that's fine, I
Yeah.
think. Yep.
And then I'll give a third and final call for nominations. Okay, so I am going to close the poll now. So I can't see the results.
Oh, okay, we,
Um,
Paul and I can't,
I'm sorry.
so Paul, do you want to join me over here? Because just for
Okay.
privacy,
Mhm.
just to be clear,
Yeah,
that's the result I have.
Yep.
Agreed?
it's the result I had as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
So which one?
Okay, so Rebecca Barley has been nominated for the chairperson position. Rebecca, do you accept this nomination?
Yes, I do.
Okay, and Rebecca was the only person nominated, so we have an acclamation. So congratulations, Rebecca. Going chair for another year.
Thank you all so much. I look forward to the work ahead.
Okay. So I can continue on if that's okay with the vice chair one?
Yeah, oh, there it goes, very cool.
Okay. Let me just see here. So I'm gonna launch the poll for that. This one. Okay, so this is, I'm gonna be launching the poll for vice chair position nomination.
There we go.
So making the first call for nominations. Second call for nominations. Paul and Chris, can you guys see anything?
Yes,
Okay, because I can't see anything.
working great.
You got 7?
6 of 7.
Okay, and I'll do a third call for nominations. Could be. Okay, so third call for nominations is complete and I'm gonna close the poll.
Yep.
It's all gonna go in.
Paul's confirmed.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we have one person who's been nominated for vice chair, and that's Cynthia Higgins. Cynthia, do you accept this nomination?
Yes, I do.
All right, so since we only have one, you are acclaimed. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. And like Rebecca, I do look forward to doing this work for another year. So thank you so much.
Do you want to try and do the BCSDA one, or do you want me to do it?
You don't-
I'll do
Good
it.
stuff. Yeah.
I'll do it just in case. Okay. So the next one is the BCSDA Provincial Council Rep position nomination. And in case anybody's is curious to what that position is, this is you'd be representing our board across the province at the provincial meetings with all the other school districts for BCSDA. So I am going to be launching the poll for that election, for the appointment, sorry. No, sorry. Nomination, thank you. Let me just go back here. Can you see?
Yes,
Okay, great.
it's working great.
No, the whole wrong. Celeste is listed twice and there's no Cynthia.
Okay, we will have to fix that. Just give us a minute.
My glasses
Okay.
on. And I
Celeste.
can concur.
Mine's right.
I have Celeste twice.
I have
I have
to
Celeste twice and no Cynthia.
April, Celeste, Lisa, Melissa, Rachel, Rebecca.
Mine's correct.
Yeah, mine's correct. Yeah.
Oh, that's strange.
Should we close it?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna end the poll and we'll try to do a new one.
Straight.
That's so strange.
Sorry about that, folks.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I got an internal error.
Need to close.
Oh, I have to close this one? Oh, sorry. I thought that was only. Yeah. I'm happy to do it again, but if someone else wants to also do it, nominate yourself and. Yeah.
It's really.
Close this?
Yeah.
Close, yes. I ended the poll, I think.
Good experience.
Oh, I didn't end the poll. It's giving me an error. Can you end it? Can you guys end it? Cause I'm not even.
Click the X. and click on it.
Yeah, just closed.
Yeah.
Well, I think we just closed it.
Weird. Yeah.
So
Technology
they
problem.
did, they did practice earlier and it was
We
working.
did.
smoothly, Of course,
This feels
during the
like
day.
That's why we're.
Maybe it's the FDA voting.
Still showing
on
you
it.
those.
So when I use my. Circles, and I'll be uses.
Right, I saw that.
And the combination.
Oh, technology.
This one?
It's great until it's.
But I know you need something like that. First of all. So we.
You want me to go to the backup one?
We would have to.
You want to move to?
Pools. Nothing's happening.
What's happening? Oh, we can just move to ballots.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
we should.
Okay, so I think everybody has.
Sorry, folks.
And if you can just scroll over to provincial council rep and have a nomination.
How does it work for Celeste and Rebecca? Just email.
Yeah, so Celeste and Rebecca, if you want to nominate anybody, please just email myself, Chris, and Paul.
Which one are you doing?
And we're doing nominations for BCSDA Provincial Council rep. Nominations, sorry.
Okay, so you want me to email?
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you can email me, that would be great.
Okay, so where do I go?
Are you able to email Rebecca or,
Give it to
because I think the nomination from the floor should be allowed as well if you're driving.
Yeah,
No, I'm not driving now. I'm
Okay.
parked in my driveway.
You're not with
Okay.
this one.
You can text
I'll text
me
you.
or Danielle if that's easier than jumping on your email.
or text me, yeah.
Oh, and that's if there's a tie. Okay, if there's.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Yeah, we're going old school here.
Amen. Look, Joe, that's
Did we
caveman.
leave
Thank
the room?
you. Oh,
Okay.
I got a text from Rebecca.
That's caveman.
There we go.
You got that one?
Yep. Thanks, Rebecca.
I. 'Let's see if I got.
Yeah, nominations. Okay,
These are just nominations.
yep, great,
That's what I got.
yep, three.
And I just want to check, Celeste, are you able to send one in as well, or are you? You don't have to. I'll just wait a couple of minutes. And second call for nominations. And third call for nominations. Okay, now I'm gonna close the nominations. And we have two nominations. Two individuals. So Melissa, you have been nominated. Do you accept this nomination?
Yes.
Okay,
Thank you.
and Cynthia, you have also been nominated to accept this nomination.
I'll decline the nomination.
Okay.
Great.
So, yay, congratulations, Melissa, your provincial council rep.
Well done.
Okay. And now we have to do the alternate. So I'm gonna ask you all to do this again on your next piece of paper for the BCSDA provincial alternate. And for those of you online, you're welcome to email
You
me.
can't vote for yourself.
Melissa, you can't because you're already the,
We're not voting, we're nominating.
Nominating alternate.
Nominated, yes, so you can't nominate yourself for two roles.
doing nominations, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, scrutineers. Okay, thank you. Okay, interesting.
Oliver Buttons.
Okay, so we have two nominations here. Just gonna double check.
Yeah.
Just gonna do a quick call for second nominations. And third call for nominations. Okay, so we have two nominations. Cynthia, do you accept the nomination for the alternate BCSTA provincial rep? Sure. Okay, Cynthia. And the second person is April. April, do you accept the nomination?
Cynthia's.
Okay, excellent. Well, congratulations on being your alternate.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you.
I think you're alternate last time, weren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, thanks, everyone. So on that note, I think I'll be passing over the rest of the board meeting to our Vice Chair, Cynthia Higgins.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Danielle, thank you for running those elections and thank you, Paul, and thank you, Chris. That's fantastic that we have that done for another year. All right, at this point, we are now on item number 5 of our agenda, and that's our announcements. There's nothing from the chair at this time, so I'll ask if there's any trustee remarks at this time. Yeah, Melissa, go ahead, please.
Yes, I would just like to say that Rachel and myself attended the Worcester Secondary School learning plan, and we were really excited to be there, and I just want to thank them so much for opening their school to us and showing us around.
Okay, anything else from anyone? Okay, all right, we'll move on then to item C. That's our superintendent remarks.
All right, thanks so much, everyone. I have a few items to share. I'd like to share with the public that had the privilege to attend the 2023 BC School Trustees Academy with a number of our trustees, as well as our Secretary Treasurer, Daniel Haverstock, and our Assistant Superintendent, Paul Lorette. And we spoke about this earlier in the Committee of the Whole meeting, but just wanted to share with the public that it was a very, very meaningful couple of days with some fantastic speakers with a focus on truth and reconciliation. Again, while the province as a whole was lauded for the work that we are doing, and in many cases we are ahead of many jurisdictions, we still recognize the work we still have to do collectively to ensure that we are living by the calls to action in education for truth and reconciliation. As we often quote Marie Sinclair, who told us that education got us into this mess, and it's education that will get us out of it. And I'm very proud of the work our district does. And again, know that we are committed to doing even better in the future. So thank you very much for that. I also want to share, and it comes as no surprise as we near the winter holiday season, that lots of stuff is happening all over our schools. But I specifically want to give a thank you to the Brackendale Elementary's annual pancake breakfast. So the glasses go on for this one, so I don't miss the details. It was the 17th annual pancake breakfast for Squamish Community Christmas Care. They made a record-breaking $2,217.10 in monies for that cause, serving over 400 people a pancake breakfast. The pancake breakfast was served as is tradition by the Squamish firefighters. So a big thank you to them for doing the work. And the school really wants to recognize a number of community partners that helped, including Nestor Squamish for donating all the food, Service Master Sea to Sky for delivering all the food and equipment, the Lions Club for the use of their grills, Tim Hortons for the hot coffee, and of course, PAC and all the staff that helped to organize all the logistics. So none of this could have happened without the work and commitment and collaboration between the community partners. And it's always a wonderful opportunity to give back. And again, as I shared, serving over 400 people, we know that it was very well attended. So big thank you to Brackendale and the partners. And I know that I would be in big trouble if I didn't share Principal Sanger's remarks that the competency development in domains of collaboration and contribution was a student learning highlight for the event. I also want to ensure that as we're trying to do during each public board meeting, if there is a other religious observation or event, we want to ensure that we're being inclusive. So I want to remind everyone that we are right in the middle of Hanukkah. So our best wishes to those folks who celebrate Hanukkah. And we hope that these 8 days are filled with warmth, togetherness, and the glow of traditions. Which brings me, of course, to my final wish for everyone. As folks know, we end school on the 22nd, a little bit later this year, next Friday. And we hope everyone has a relaxing, rejuvenating break with family and friends, and filled with whatever types of activities and enjoy people appreciate this time of year. And we really look forward to seeing everybody back on January the 8th. Not the 6th that I talked about earlier. So 8th of January for everyone. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Happy holidays.
Thank you very much. I'll turn it to our Secretary Treasurer for remarks.
Yeah, thanks, Cynthia. I just wanted to mention to everybody that we're going to be launching our annual budget survey next week. So that should be going out at the end of the week before the school break. And I encourage everybody to provide your responses. Your responses help the board prioritize help the board decide what to prioritize, and it just helps us in strategic planning and our budget. So please I encourage everybody to participate in that. So thank you. I also wanted to mention that questions of clarification from the public can be answered at the end of this meeting. You can also send them to our email address at board@sd48.bc.ca, and they should be related to board agenda items. We'll do our best to respond to questions at the end of the meeting. If they're complex, we may have to get back to you. So that's everything. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. That brings us to item 7, as we have nothing listed at item 6. So I'd like at this time to introduce Emma Mullings from Pemberton Secondary School. Emma, go ahead, please, and welcome
Hello.
to the meeting. We're happy to have you.
Hello. Would you just like me to launch into the animal project that I'm here to present? I know I have about 10 minutes, so and with some time for questions at the end. Thank you very much for inviting me to share the work that we're doing up at Pemberton Secondary with the middle school. The animal project is a collaborative project from the STEM middle school teachers. That's science, math, and technology. We wanted to do something to project together for the whole middle school that we could engage students and they could connect to easily. In order to build a learning community. And so that even though they're in different classes, they can see that we're doing kind of similar things in each of the classes and they have something to be proud of. And something that identity is a really key idea with the middle school. So we wanted something that they could connect to and have a piece of building their identity. We actually launched it using the circle process and use the idea of the 4 blankets to talk about how they were at the center themselves. You've got your close family, so we encourage them to perhaps think of an animal that maybe has some connection to somebody that's close to them, some way that they can connect to that person. And some of the students did that quite well. For example, one student chose a chicken because they have chickens at home, and one student chose an elephant because it was their mum's favorite animal. So we tried to encourage the students to really kind of think just thinking about that person that's special in their life, and perhaps what maybe some way of using that as a way to connect to those. And then we did actually intentionally talk about we were doing this in order to build a learning community, and so that we can share ideas and learn from each other. A big part of the project was trying to help them. One of the competencies that we looked at was to actually apply first people's perspectives and knowledge and other ways of knowing. So the word interconnectedness was quite key. Briefly, the animal project is that the students get to choose an animal of their choice, ideally connecting something that's meaningful. And as we went through the science curriculum of learning more about life sciences, the areas were cells, sustainability of systems, and first people's knowledge of interconnectedness. So as we were exploring those ideas in class, they would kind of have this project that they would go to, work on a little bit and apply some of the learning that we had done in class for their particular animal. So the way that we brought in the first people's perspectives is we were really fortunate at Pemberton to have an Indigenous cultural worker who was able to come into classes and share animal stories with us. And it was really interesting because she was able to talk about how she saw the animals with these stories as brothers and sisters. There were some stories involving shapeshifters and that sort of thing. So super engaging and interesting. But it really helped to emphasize the way that all things are connected if we are going to look at sustainable systems. So we tried to encourage the students to have that perspective when they were doing their project. The project is presented on either a website or Google Slides or Canva, and we tried to encourage students to explore new technology in doing this project and perhaps step a little bit out of their comfort zone. We were involved in doing many different labs. We tried to really get the students in grade 8 and 9 to actually not so much do demos, which is often more traditional, but to actually really get in there and explore and have space to experience that sense of wonder and joy and be curious. So an example of how that would tie to the project would be, we had like the Burn the Snack Lab, where we set snacks on fire, and we actually calculate the calories in those snacks by seeing how much they're able to heat an amount of water. And we connected that to, like, for example, the energy that your animal may need. So we then did some work with food webs and food chains. And so the students would then make a food web for their animal. We looked at the DNA in a strawberry. We used microscopes to look at plant cells and animal cells. We learned about osmosis using gummy bears. We used agar plates to grow bacteria, and we were encouraging the students to think about disease and how that affects their animal. We also tried to get the students to think about an animal story and connect that to their project, to try and have that cross-curricular element. We asked them to think about reliable sources and sharing ideas to a global scientific community through the peer review process. So, but, that would really tie into thinking, and just really start trying to be mindful of where are their sources coming from and is it reliable. In terms of assessment, we actually are having our sort of science fair style presentation next Wednesday. So this project was started at the sort of middle of September, and it's run all the way through till now. So we wanted them to have an opportunity to do a longer project that they kind of dip in and out of, and have an opportunity for periods of incubation and an opportunity for reflection. With the science fair, we've actually managed to recruit some senior science students, and they're going to go around and give the students constructive and encouraging feedback, and then using sort of the KTY ideas that we got from the Pro-D, where the students will then do a self-assessment of that project, in order to sort of build some student agency and ownership. We're also, because we've sort of explored all the 3 core competencies, we're also hoping that we can try and get this into spaces so that they can reflect on some of the core competencies that they explored, such as communication, personal and social awareness, and responsibility, and their creative and reflective thinking. So in terms of, those were the core competencies that we'll reflect on with spaces, but the curricular competencies we encouraged them to think about was demonstrating a sustained intellectual curiosity about a personal topic of interest, experience and interpreting the environment, apply first people's perspectives and knowledge and other ways of knowing, and communicating scientific ideas for a specific purpose and audience. So those are the competencies that we be asking the students to reflect on. All students have managed to do a project, so we were pleased that this had a low barrier entry, and we could encourage the students to actually have a piece of work that they cared about and were proud of, and able to talk about and access at many different points. Some people have gone quite deep, others they've done what what is at their level. I don't think that's about my 10 minutes. And it has worked to engage the students, and it has been very interesting to actually ask them to think about what we have learned in the lesson and apply it to their specific animal. Okay, I will turn you over if you have any questions. Thank you for listening to that very long spiel.
Thank you very much for your long spiel. It was very interesting, and I'll open it up to questions. Paul, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I just want to say how much I appreciate this work, Emma. I know, you've been a very strong advocate for project-based learning and student engagement and working hard to engage students in this kind of learning, but not only, advocating for students to do this kind of learning, but also supporting your colleagues in collaborating around planning these kinds of learning experience. So I really appreciate this work. I know that it's a passion of yours. I'm wondering if you can tell us a little bit more about just how, and we know this is a middle school age, and we know that sometimes, the feeling is it's difficult to engage that age level in this kind of project work or this kind of learning. Can you just talk a little bit about how that went? Because you did mention that the students did participate well, that they all participated, that they were engaged. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, for sure. We actually used the circle process to launch the project, and that actually helped because the students were in a really good place of reflective thinking, because the circle encourages that. I actually used an idea from that Corey used in when we did the new teacher day, which was to actually have a blanket in the middle of the circle, and the students actually wrote their animal on a little post-it, and they put the post-it actually on the blanket, which we then have like wrapped up. So we've done about maybe 4 circles, and each time we've just kind of added our post-it notes to them. So that's a starting point for helping the students to be able to speak in the circle. Because what happens is, because you've written it down and you've popped it in the circle, you're kind of looking at that blanket and your word was there. The other piece that really helped was talking about that second blanket of the family and getting them to kind of think about that maybe not necessarily even a family member, but somebody that they close to and connected, and trying to think about them when they're trying to think of an animal. And what that does is it kind of takes them to a more respectful place, and it relaxes them, and they're able to open their minds. And so every student felt, they were, instead of doing sort of the pass, which you can get with middle school students because they're very self-conscious, they were able to kind of identify an animal that they were interested in, and in many cases they were able to share why they'd chosen that animal. And it might have been from a visit to the aquarium, or one student, they hunt moose, and they have chosen that one, and they were able to talk about who they'd hunted moose with. So we had that piece. And then also it was an easy one, right? It was an easy one for the students to kind of latch onto and have that sort of identity. It's not quite, it's personal, but it's personal because it's theirs. But it's not personal in the sense that they're really kind of exposing themselves in a way that maybe is a little bit too difficult. But you've actually, Paul, you've reminded me of how I was going to hoping to wrap up the project, which was with a circle, like a gratitude circle. So actually kind of I'd like the students to kind of thank their animal for being along this journey with them, and maybe if they can say something that the animal has taught them, because that would kind of tie into that first people's perspective of interconnectedness. And it makes me think of when I've done tree bark, like the cedar bark thing, and you thank the tree. Like, I think that would be kind of neat for us to kind of wrap it up, rather than it just be this presentation, but to actually take us back to that quiet space and thank our animal.
Well, I want to leave time for others, but I just want to comment very briefly, just to thank you for this. And, you know, what you described for the public, you described so many strategies that we've identified as being so important for engaging students, and you're using them brilliantly. And I just want to make a connection to our education plan and the neuroscience page that talks about how learning involves emotion and motivation. And also brain systems are actively engaged in narratives about meaning. And I think the way you describe the circle process and how you opened the project and having kids make connections to family members and using the blanket and the circle are great examples of those concepts at work. So thank you for that. Really appreciate it.
Are there any questions or comments from anyone else? I don't see any, but
I just want to say.
oh, sorry, Danielle.
Yeah, Emma, it's the second time I've heard you speak about learning, and I just wanted to say it's always a pleasure to listen to you. I heard you at the Pemberton Secondary School Learning Plan a couple of years ago, and it was awesome. So thanks for being
thank
here.
you.
Today. Appreciate it. Yeah, thank you.
Oh, and Chris. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
and I have a comment, not a question. Obviously, I reiterate what's been said. My ask is that when the presentations are happening, I'm hopeful some students may be willing to have a digital, like a photograph taken. And I'm sure folks are already thinking about how you can share this on your website, but I'm sure our trustees would love to see some examples of the work. And I guess I'll also say that I was struck by the rigor of the learning that's happening. It is that piece about connection to themselves and to emotion, but it certainly doesn't end there. And the number of learning standards in science and other areas of learning, you spoke about the cross-curricular connections. It's very clear that, again, good project-based learning means rigor. And you're demonstrating that in a very meaningful way for me, and that's what resonated with me. And again, I look forward to seeing these examples, and please send staff the invitation again for the day of the presentations, because I'm sure if some of us can come up there, we'd love to come and support and see the culmination of this wonderful work. Thank you so much.
Thanks. And just to finish, I'll have to just say that, oh, sorry, is there another question?
No, go right ahead.
I was just going to thank my colleagues for being, this is kind of a collaborative. I've come here to speak, but this is very much a team, a team effort. So that was Vivian and Andrew and Zach and myself.
Thank you. Thank you
Emma.
so much, Emma.
No worries.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
I will leave you. Yeah.
Okay, thanks for coming.
Have a good night.
Okay. All right. That was excellent. I really enjoyed hearing about that. That brings us now to item 9, which is the board committees. And we did have some committees meet today. The committee of the whole met today. And at that meeting, we had individuals were given the opportunity to express interest in running for the elected positions of chair and vice chair. We also had comments about our upcoming calendar of events, with special attention given to the opportunity to attend the education session on financial resource management. We also had a discussion about the trustee academy, which Superintendent Nicholson referred to in his comments earlier, stating what we all stated as well, that it was an excellent learning opportunity, one of the best probably that we've had in several years. And for myself personally, I know I came away from it feeling like I had learned some significant new things and had some of those things that were sitting, in the back of your mind that you remember and come to the forefront once again. So I felt like that was very much time well spent and very beneficial. We also mentioned that there was opportunity to provide input for motions to provincial council. And that is a summary of what happened at the committee of the whole meeting. If there's anything anyone would like to add to that report, please feel free to jump in. Okay. Seeing none, we do have some minutes
That the minutes of the committee of the whole meeting held on November 8th, 2023 be accepted.
Thank you very much. Lisa, is there anyone? April, thank you for seconding. Any comments? Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, and those are carried. Following that, the policy committee did meet today in the morning. We had 3 policies for discussion. Those being policy 501, student registration, enrollment, and registration. Oh my gosh, I can't read my own writing. Student registration. Policy 501, student registration, enrollment, and placement. We had looked at that policy last month, and there was quite a bit of work done on that, so it came back to us again. And the board was quite satisfied with the work that had been done, and that policy was passed with just some housekeeping to take place. The same to be said for policy 709. That came back to us again as the ministry had added a tiny bit more detail that was required to be included. And of course,
The policy,
oh, sorry, 709 policy, public interest disclosure. Thank you, Chris. Yes, that is a policy that has come down from the ministry. Last month, we looked at that, and we did have to take another little look at it again this month because additional information had been provided to us and was required to be implemented into that policy. So we had that. And then the final policy we looked at, 807, which was inclement weather and school closures. There was a few changes made to this. And otherwise, everything looked good. And that policy is also being brought forward to the meeting now. I think, would we adopt those later in this meeting?
Yes.
Yeah. So we'll adopt those 3 policies later in the meeting this evening. So that's the report. If anyone has anything they would like to add, please feel free. Yes.
just
yes,
for a point of
please.
clarification for the public, because it is a substantial addition to the registration policy. And if folks tuned in last month, they would have learned about Bill 40 to the Ministry of Education, which is providing some changes to legislation to ensure we are following forward with our responsibilities for truth and reconciliation. And one of those pieces ensures that each First Nation whose traditional territory districts are on will have the right through First Nations leadership to determine a school of choice for students of Indigenous ancestry on reserve. Because at the time of catchment areas creation, First Nations who are treaty and rights holders were not consulted. So this is a ministerial correction to that error, to that miss. And that has been legislated and passed, and more information will be coming out for folks, and we'll be deferring to First Nation partners to let us know which schools of choice they would like to determine. So when the when the policies reviewed this evening are reposted, if they are passed on our website, folks will be able to click directly onto legislation to which I'm referring to learn more.
Great, thank you. Thank you so much, Chris, for that important addition to the report. At this time, we do have a recommendation. Is there someone prepared to make that?
The minutes of the policy committee meeting held on November 8th, 2023 be accepted.
Thank you, April. Is there a seconder? Thank you, Rachel. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Seeing none, that's carried. Moving on to the Finance Committee. The Finance Committee met today there was a discussion pertaining to trustee remuneration, and it was. Later, sorry.
Is it approved? Yeah. I don't think that was. Oh, it does.
We did
It
it
does
later?
come up.
Okay, so we had a discussion around trustee remuneration. And the conversation reflected around our policy that states that remuneration for trustees will be adjusted according to the Consumer Price Index. We also had a conversation about the Danielle, maybe help me if I get this incorrect, about our annual budget. We need to have that passed by February.
Yeah.
Okay, so that, thank you. Also very important, as Danielle spoke about earlier in her Secretary Treasurer remarks, we have a budget survey going out to all of our partners, and I would like to also encourage everyone to take a few moments to consider the questions and answer the survey. The feedback really is incredibly valuable. It will be all part of our partners group meeting, and from my perspective as a trustee, I feel like that is one of the places where we can really take advantage of the information that the public provides us and try to tailor the decisions that we make around the feedback that we get, and make sure that those align with our financial responsibilities and our school strategic plan. So it really is important to me, and I think to everyone else, that we get as many participants on this survey as possible. And I'll thank everyone in advance for taking the time to fill that out. I think that's all. Danielle, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Nope, I think that's good.
Okay, thank you.
Maybe that, if I may have my apologies,
Yeah.
keep interrupting.
No. Please
Just
go
at the opportunity to take part in the survey, in my good wishes for the holiday that will come late next week will be the link to the survey. We'll also have the survey posted on our website and on school websites as well upon return from the holiday. So lots of opportunities to find those links. Not available yet, though. We still have a few tweaks to go.
Timeline, very important. Thank you, Chris. Okay, thank you for that. Are there any other comments anyone would like to add at this time? Okay, seeing none, we simply have some minutes that were adopted on November 8th down there as reference material. You can take a look at that if you so please. And that will bring us to the Indigenous Education Council.
Do we not need? Oh, it's just reference. Pardon
Yeah,
me.
just reference. Thanks, Lisa. Report that I have
There hasn't been a meeting,
no meeting since. Okay, thank you for that.
but I can read the recommendation that the minutes of the Indigenous Education Council meeting held on June 9th, 2023 be accepted.
Seconded. Thank you, Lisa. Any discussion? All in favor? Okay, any opposed? Seeing none, that too is carried. We have the Public Relations Community Engagement and Communications Committee. Celeste or Rachel?
We haven't met since the last report.
Okay, thank you very much. That brings us down past business arising into our information items, where you can take a look at some media reports and information on field trips. There's no correspondence at this time, no items for discussion, which brings us to item D, policy motions.
That the Board of Education approve policy 501, student registration, enrollment, and placement with housekeeping changes as discussed.
Thank you, Lisa. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Celeste. Any discussion?
Yeah, can I just say, it's more than just housekeeping, because there are substantial changes with respect to the amount of time that you have to respond. I would say it's a bit more than housekeeping, so maybe just changes as discussed.
Agreed.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, and I see that that's been changed already. Can you see that on your screen?
It has not been changed in the document.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
has, but now you have
You
to
have to
vote it.
refresh.
You have to vote it down
Okay,
because it's already been.
Yeah, so
Can
if
you not
make
do
it
a
quick
friendly
motion.
amendment?
Yeah.
all right, yeah, could you make the amendment?
So I would like to make a friendly amendment that the previous motion actually read that the Board of Education approve policy 501 student registration, enrollment, and placement with changes as discussed.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder for that amended motion? Thank you, Celeste. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor of the amended motion? Thank you. I see all in favor. There, any opposed? Seeing none, we'll call that motion passed. Thank you. That brings us to item B, policy 709, public interest disclosure.
That the Board of Education approve policy 709, public interest disclosure.
And there's someone who would like to second. Thank you, Rachel. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Thank you. Any opposed? Seeing none, we'll also call that passed. That brings us to item C, policy 807, inclement weather and school closures.
That the Board of Education approve policy 807, inclement weather and school closure.
Is there someone who would like to second that motion? Rachel, thank you very much. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Did I see 1, 2, 3? Did I see it?
Oh, sorry.
Okay, that's okay. I just want
I'm
to make sure.
fading
Okay,
fast.
any
So sorry.
opposed? Okay, seeing none, we'll call that recommendation also passed. Thank you so much, and thank you to everyone who worked hard on these policies, both trustees who had excellent comments and suggestions, really appreciated, and to our staff who also contributed significantly to bringing these policies up to date, making them very clear to the public and hopefully very easy to follow. Chris, go ahead.
Again, I just want to remind the public that the policy meeting, while being open, is also recorded. So again, just for folks tuning in for this evening and guests on the floor, please know that again, there's often some very good substantive discussion that goes on at these meetings. And if folks are interested, we really encourage you to take a look at what happens during the day at our committee meetings. And again, those are also open to the public to come in person if they have the time or inclination to do so. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. On our action item, we have trustee remuneration and we have a recommendation
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we.
for that one.
I apologize.
No, that's okay. It's seems to be in a little different spot, but that's okay. Is there anyone who would like to make that recommendation?
That the Board of Education approve the trustee remuneration effective January 1st, 2024 as presented.
And seconder, April, thank you. Any discussion? All in favor? Okay, any opposed? Thank you. And abstentions? Okay, thank you. And that motion has passed by a vote of 4-1 with 1 abstention. We move on to item F, items to be brought out of camera, which at this time there are not a single one. There are also not a single one in the section G bylaws, which brings us to questions of clarification from the public.
No
All right,
questions.
we have nothing online. Anything. Thank you for coming to join us. It's lovely to have an engaged member of the community.
We appreciate you.
We'll say we always.
Yeah.
Wonder where you are when you're not here. So we always think of you.
All
Appreciate
right.
that you're here.
Okay, with all of that being said, I'd like to wish everyone happy holidays. It is our last meeting of 2023. I'm sure everyone is looking forward to 2024 and the work that will lay ahead in the new year. I know I'm excited about coming and doing this work all of the time. So I'm pleased to be here. I hope everyone else is too. And I want to wish everyone happy holidays and say that at this point, we have covered all of the agenda items that are in this agenda, and thus the business of this meeting is concluded and we are at adjournment.